Hey, I'm up here at Southside Harley Davidson in Indianapolis. I get a chance to ride the new 2018 Heritage Classic. This is what most of us know as the Heritage Softail. That looks a lot different, I gotta tell you. That looks a lot different. I like the front end. Kept the classic front end going here. I like it. You know, once you get looking at it, you realize, but you know, this is a bike that at first I would probably walk up to somebody and say, hey, what exactly is that? They definitely changed this up quite a bit. It looks good. Kind of digging the seat. The blacked out motor. This is a, you know, the flat paint finish and everything. It's with the black forks and everything. It's kind of a cool look. It kind of gives it a, I don't know. It's got a new look, yet it's almost still retro. So I kind of like that. I kind of like it. Still feels very much like a Softail. I like the bars to come up a little bit like that. Right here would be about perfect. I like this. I like it a lot. All right. I think it's time to take this thing out on the road. Funny, you get on these new bikes and they got the new transmissions, everything's so tight. Nice balance. Super balanced. Like a dream. There's just no wobbly to it. You rock around on this thing and it's just, I'm very impressed with this. Well, once again, Eric Anderson, thank you very much for inviting us up here to Southside Harley Davidson here in Indianapolis. And the new, what is the new name? The actual? The Heritage Classic. The Heritage Classic. I always planned, I mean, that was my dream bike, was a Heritage Softail Classic. And I wanted that so bad, and then when it was time to actually buy one, I bought a Road King. Who knew, right? But I tell you, I've always been a fan of these bikes. They have changed it a bunch. You know, obviously the seat and the saddlebags, you notice a big difference. A locking saddlebag, but yet it's still leather. Yep, I love that. Yep. You know, and they kept the triple beams up front there, and this bike, it still felt very similar to the older bike. I mean, it still feels like you're sitting in it just a little bit more, or not as much, but you feel like you're kind of cradled in there a little bit, but yet it's sitting you up nice. The handlebars, I love the bars on this. You know, my bike, I've got 16s. These are, I would call them mini apes. I don't know if that's the official name or not, but I just, you know, and obviously with the motor and stuff, I mean, it's got plenty of power. Absolutely. You're never going to be lacking power, that's for sure. So tell me a little bit about this new design. Yeah, sure, absolutely. So, you know, Harley Davidson eliminated the Dyna models in 2018, and they merged their cruiser line. So they came out with one motorcycle, what they call the Softail family. It's a whole redesigned frame. So 30% more rigidity in the frame, but yet almost 30 pounds lighter than what it was last year. And now it's a single monoshock design that sits up underneath the seat. So rather than the Softails of yesteryear having the shocks parallel to the ground at the bottom of the suspension, now it's up top and it's a single monoshock. So now you can adjust the preload of that shock to get the ride correct for the amount of weight on the motorcycle. So if you're on it, you adjust it. If you put a passenger on and luggage, you adjust it again.
and it's one of those set and forgets. So you set it, forget it, you don't have to keep making adjustments to it. Of course, there weren't many people that probably made adjustments to the old Softail models when they had to crawl up underneath and set the preload on it, you know. So now it's just very easy to do. This one, you actually remove the seat to do the preload adjustment, and we'll show you that in just a little bit. But they redesigned this. No more backrest, no more of the floppy-sided saddlebags with the conchos and the steel chrome studs on it. They really thought, how do we keep the nostalgia back in this motorcycle? And if you look at the studs on this, these studs were taken from the 50s, 60s era dual glides. So they brought a lot of that history back up into the Heritage Softail. Now, you know, the Heritage has been around in the Harley Davidson community since the 80s, and just one after another. In fact, when I first got my first Harley, it was a Heritage Softail. So it was an excellent motorcycle, had that nostalgia look. So they kept that nostalgic look. No more chrome rims, blacked out. You got a nice blacked out look on this motorcycle. They took the Milwaukee 8 engine that they had in the touring models last year, implanted it into this. It's now a twin counterbalanced engine, so literally no vibration at idle. And that was the nice thing about the Softails, is that they were counterbalanced. So there wasn't a lot of vibration in them, but now since it's twin counterbalanced, and this thing is 10% more power than the 103 twin cam in 2017 that was in the Heritage Softails. So think about it, from 0 to 60, you know, you're 2 to 3 bike lengths faster on this motorcycle. And with the 114 in there, now up that. Again, the bike comes with a 107 powerhouse, or it comes with a 114 cubic inch powerhouse. You got two different models of it. There's about, I don't know, a couple $1,000s difference between the two, but you can have the power of the 114, or you can have the power of the 107 cubic inch engine. And what I really like about this is not only is it the blacked out look, but they upgraded the lights in front with LEDs.
I did see that.
So you get a bright white LEDs up front, not only in the headlight, but in the passing lamps. So think about it, now you're road ditch to road ditch, breadth of bright white light to allow you to see farther down the road. And, you know, with the adjustability in the suspension system, the new frame, 5 degrees more lean angle on the motorcycle. So if you're a Heritage Softail or a Softail rider, you know it's really easy to drag floorboards when you're going around a curve or around a corner. 5 degrees more lean angle now, it's gonna be a little bit harder. In fact, I just took one around the parking lot and did a little circles with it. I couldn't drag floorboards, and I would have done that on an earlier model Softail. Still have the 5-gallon fuel tank, ergonomic seat, more comfort to allow you to ride tank to tank before you got to get off. So really, really a lot of changes in this. Scott, so we were talking about the new frame design. Here's a new frame with the seat off. You can see the monoshock where it's mounted at the top of the frame. So what that does is, as that swing arm's mounted at the rear, and as it comes up, it compresses that spring, which gives you the dampening effect on the rear swing arm. Now, Harley wanted to make this look like the old rigid motorcycles, and of course, the rigid motorcycle was one that had no suspension on it at all, and so you bounced in the seat, or the seat had the spring in it in the older Harleys that allowed for you to get a nice ride. Well, now this is adjustable, so you can set the preload on this spring for the amount of weight that sits on the motorcycle. You look at the chart in the owner's manual, you see that the weight of the rider, the weight of the passenger, and the luggage, and all you do is you turn the hydraulic adjuster in and set it to the number that it says in the table. So it's really set and forget. And then if you take weight off the motorcycle, then all you do is just readjust it for the weight of the rider. But it's one of those, hey, it's a very easy adjustment to get the right suspension system, to get the right setup that you want.
Well, it's really cool because this bike sits low enough, like Cindy could ride this bike. Now, now Cindy barely weighs over 100 pounds. I'm 220, but this is something we could both ride, you know what I'm saying? I mean, I can adjust it for me, but then she can turn around and adjust it for herself as well, and that's actually very cool. Yeah, and you know, in just a couple minutes to take the seat off to make your adjustment to it, it's real easy. Yeah. So also one of the new features is the kickstand, otherwise known as the Jiffy stand on Harley Davidson's, new redesign. So before, the kickstand came back up underneath the primary cover. It would come all the way back up to here. And so now with the new redesign, it's a shorter reach, comes right up to here, but yet you have a tall tab on it that allows easier reach with your foot. Yes, and I did notice that. I noticed that when I picked it up and when I put it back down on the stand, that was the first thing I noticed was, wow, that's shorter and it's a whole lot easier to get to. Because that was something that it always was difficult to get to when I was under there. I can't emphasize enough. You said you can't drag the boards. I tried. Trust me, I tried. I never dragged the boards when I was going around any of these scooters. The bike handles. I mean, the handling on this bike was superb. The front end felt super light. I leaned in, and that bike just went with me, and we just went. And I mean, it was as far as fitting me personally. Now I'm a little over 6 foot. I'm about 220. It fit me great right off the showroom floor. It fit me really good, and the balance on it is still there. You know what I'm saying? Even though it's got the new frame, it's got all that stuff. I came to several traffic lights, came to a complete stop, and went without ever putting my feet down.
Oh yeah.
And that's something I love about a motorcycle. When you get a balanced bike like that, it's like, I don't know. For me, that's a big deal. And that was what I noticed above everything else, is just the way this thing handled, and the balance of this bike was spectacular. Obviously, the new design changes different. I even said it's a little more futuristic, but yet retro, and thus the retro. You just explained that to me, and so it's I'd have to give them a big thumbs up on the new Heritage.
You know, and Harley Davidson's really trying to entice those riders 18 to 35 to come in and climb on a Harley Davidson motorcycle. You know, for years and years and years, people thought I could never afford a Harley Davidson motorcycle because it's just too expensive. Well, these things aren't expensive, and there's easy ways that you can get this motorcycle, but you got to come ride it to experience the motorcycle, to see the impact of this. And you know, yet it's a modern design, and that's what Harley was looking for in these cruisers, but yet it still keeps the nostalgia of the Heritage, of the Heritage classic of early.
Most definitely.